Strength in Elden Ring has always been the face of incredible damage numbers, starring in one-shot videos and literally everyone's first playthrough. Which is why I'm wondering, did Shadow of the Erdtree make strength builds stronger? In today's Elden Ring challenge run, we're going to prove why bonking is the objectively correct way to play the game, taking builds from different stages of the DLC and seeing just how powerful they can get. Within the first area is the content before Relana of the Twin Moons, wherein I start by gathering all of the available Erdtree fragments, giving us a total of 12 fragments for a level 6 blessing. Just had to get that out of the way because our first build is going to have a lot of yapping. There is a common misconception that anything in the game can be overpowered if you have 10 or more buffs. But actually, that isn't entirely true, and there are a couple reasons. But to summarize all that yap, it is actually because some damage types and the weapons that they include have 10 buffs while others only have 6. This very simple system is what makes the difference between mid and overpowered. In terms of strength though, I'd have to explain this video. People often think that the biggest bonk is the strongest bonk. Though I wouldn't blame you because if I decided to hit you with the total weight of a building, you would die. But because of nerd mechanics, that isn't entirely the case in Elden Ring. Once again, because of damage types. There are 4 types of physical damage, and I won't waste your time. Pierce damage is the best. This is because it has access to counterattacks, which is commonly misunderstood as a 30% damage bonus. But it's not that simple. During an attack animation, an enemy will have their thrusting attack defense lowered by 30%. So what this actually means is that with a 20% pierce damage negation, you will gain a 16% damage bonus. You can increase this number with the Spear Talisman and get yourself a 27% damage bonus, meaning despite the Giant Crusher having some of the highest scaling, it will still get beat out by the Zweihander's charged heavy attack. And the Zweihander has for a very long time held that top spot of pure physical damage, because among the pierce weapons, it has the most balanced AR and motion value. But among the contenders of motion values is the Tree Spear, which failed because it couldn't be infused with Royal Knight's Resolve. However, in the DLC, that has changed, because with the addition of the Mesmer Soldier Spear, we now have an infusible A-scaling thrusting weapon with the highest charge attack motion value. You can get this weapon by farming the soldiers that wield it, then slap on these talismans and the buffs that you're comfortable with. Give it Royal Knight's Resolve, and then watch as you do enough damage to make magic users reconsider their vigor investment. This weapon is best paired with as much poise as you can stack, so that you can guarantee that your charge attack will hit during an enemy's combo. I'll cap the yap here and consider this build the strongest early DLC option. Immediately after unlocking the area though, I had a realization. Because while the spear build is strong, it still took me a couple retries to get a good satisfying clip. That's because I'm bad at the game. And if you feel the same, then follow along because my next build will require me to travel down to the ruins of Starfall Pass, turning right and right again until I find this lever, so I can then pull this other lever and ride the door up to the ancient meteoric ore blade. This is usually where I pull up the math to show you just how crazy this build can get. But instead, I want to show you that Elden Ring actually has this ability axis. Because running the ancient meteoric ore blade with these stats while wearing any decent armor set and these talismans that even allow you to just slot in more defense, paired with the most accessible and easy buffs, you can get a build that shreds bosses with one button. Because not only does the weapon skill travel the length of social distancing, it also distances the enemy's guts from its insides. This fucking skill has absolutely no right to do all these things at once. They basically gave strength players a Rivers of Blood, and you can literally give this build to a Victorian-era peasant and it'll still be able to beat Promised Consort Radahn. It is that easy. I have nothing else to say. Here are the stats, and here's the award. God damn, this build is good. Now that everything in the game is available to us, I want to showcase 2 of the strongest builds available in Shadow of the Erdtree. After unlocking the Shadow Keep, I'm actually going to enter through the back side, because from here I can get the Carian thrusting shield. Oh, you already know where this is going. Even with all of this yap about motion values and attack rating, combat in Elden Ring all narrows down to one calculation. Whoever reaches 0 health last wins. This is balanced player-wise in methods like dodge rolls having limited frames and shield blocks eating your stamina. And this simple push and pull is what makes the new thrusting shield so damn powerful, because as long as you hold right click, you are almost completely immune to damage, while also dealing a ton of damage by spamming left click. So if both you and the boss are thugging each other out, the first one to reach 0 is never going to be you. But Playrime, what about the stamina? Okay.
I don't care.
Having the two-headed turtle talisman alongside the green burst crystal tier gives you enough stamina recovery to just not care about stamina management. Side note, one of the most accessible damage buffs, Flame Grant Me Strength, also slightly increases your stamina recovery. Just combine this build with the two-handed sword talisman, spear talisman, rotten wing sword, thorny crack tier, golden vow, and crag blade, and now you have the strongest Unga Bunga build in the entire game. No, seriously, the sheer amount of trading you can dish out with this build is fucking insane. Like, bro, who cooked this weapon? Give that guy some head, he a real one. I believe it's a pretty solid pick to give this build the most sustainable build award, because as long as you're paying attention, you cannot die with this thing. But I think I've edged you enough to finally discuss today's strongest build. There was a trend in the Elden Ring community once people found the Deflecting hard tier, FromSoft's perfect solution to making bad bosses. Though this crystal tier's ability to make the game a walk in the park isn't actually its greatest strength. No, what's amazing about it is the fact that it gives the single highest damage bonus in the entire game. Like, dude, what the fuck? What the fuck were they smoking when they made this? Remember earlier in the video that I mentioned that the strongest builds are determined by buffable damage types and motion values? Well, even if guard counters have a lower motion value on average, it now has a higher buff ceiling than charge attacks. And did I mention that they're faster? Meaning, if you want to pull a counterattack, you actually have a better chance of landing it at the nigh end of an attack animation. So with counterattack motion value in mind, what is the best weapon to play this build with? Well, why not the highest scaling heavy thrusting sword in the entire game? You cannot tell me that they added both the sword lance and the Deflecting hard tier on coincidence. These two things were just made for each other, because at 66 strength with a starting motion value of 130, give me a moment to breathe. With the Curved Sword Talisman, 200 Sword Talisman, Deflecting hard tier, Bloodsucking crack tier, Hollow Shabiri, and Golden Vow, you can get up to 10,000 damage. But with 19 Skado Trio Blessings, you can get up to 21,000 damage. Adding the Poison Perfume buff trio, which by the way is really easy to use, you get almost 30,000 damage per hit. Although I am bad at the game, and the highest damage I can do is this. The thing is, even without the poison buffing shenanigans, you'll still get enough damage to do phase 1 Radon in 2 hits in a suboptimal run. Did you get that part? Because that's really important. I'm saying that in a suboptimal skill issue run, you can still deal over 10,000 damage in 1 hit. That means even you, yes you, can have a taste of how it feels to destroy a boss. And by the way, you might see here that I'm using the Icon Shield. That's because alongside the Blessing of the Erdtree, you can almost entirely negate the Bloodsucking crack tier. And that's about the whole build. All that's left now is to cue the fucking montage, baby.
Boom, bam, bada bop, boom, pow.
Life is Roblox.
I'm about to blood.
The definitive strongest strength build has finally dropped, and man does it cook hard. But if you want to see something flashier than the glorified stick, check out my other DLC breaking runs. See you there.